Hi there, welcome back. Welcome to the Telefunken Dacapo. I finished doing the IF alignment on the AM last week, or in the last video, and I wanted to carry on and check everything to do with the FM, which I have done, and I'm happy to report that there was nothing wrong with it. All the components measured quite well. When I say quite well, the resistors were sometimes within 1%. So they are actually very, very good resistors. Capacitors, there was nothing to change there because all the capacitors that I changed before also apply to the circuit that deals with FM. There's one exception which I haven't got to, and that is the discriminator cap inside that metal can over there. It's inside the actual unit that holds the second IF transformer, and there's a problem. The problem I'll show you close up is removing that top of that can. Now, I may still have to do it. I've been able to sort of measure it from the outside, and it seems to be okay. Those capacitors very, very seldom go off, I found. I normally change them anyway if they're staring me in the face, but they don't normally go wrong because not big voltages get applied to them. But if I have to, I have to. I'm hoping I don't. But I'm going to carry on. We're just going to test the FM now because I think it's actually pretty good. And then I want to do a quick IF alignment for the FM, and we'll just take it from there and see where we go. I've got the power coming from the dim bulb tester. There's the minimum restriction possible on there because I think this is fine. So we will just hit it. Let it warm up.
De todas as semanas, a opinião de Nuno Botelho, Nuno Garopa, Carvalho da Silva, Rosário Gamboa e convidados astros. Conversas cruzadas para ouvir ao meio-dia, com repetição à meia-noite. De 15 a 17 de setembro, com o apoio Antena 3.
É, acho exatamente, é o Parque das Estátuas, qualquer coisa
E
assim.
significa? A escultura quer significar alguma coisa ou é uma criação artística?
É um grande obelisco muito alto, todo ele composto por corpos e eu associei muito isso como era o que naufraga o naufrágio desse livro é um
Okay, what did we find? Well, nothing too unexpected. There are two stations up here that are normally quite strong. There's one at the end there that's very strong, that classical station where the lady was chatting. Those I normally pick up very well anyway, which is happening here. There's one at 101.6, which I can't get because this only goes up to 100. And I want to stretch the band when I do the RF alignment in order to catch that. So I can't test that one. That's also fairly strong. But there are a few in between which, I didn't really pick them up too well here, and normally it takes a very good radio to pick them up quite well. I often get a fairly decent reception on there. So I think this thing needs a little bit of alignment to improve its sensitivity. I think it's not quite aligned, and I think I may know why. Now you may recall from the last video that one of these on the AM, I can't remember whether it was this one or that one, actually produced quite a good improvement when I tuned it. Now that leads me to believe that someone messed with it because it's at the top and easily accessible. So I'm hoping that whatever they did to that one say, they did to that one. And if they did, that means we should see quite an improvement when we do the FM alignment, which I think this thing needs. I really think this thing's a little bit off, so we're going to do an IF alignment for the FM and see if we can't bring that up. Now, it's actually a pretty simple procedure and nothing unusual, but I'll quickly give you a description. They tell us to feed the signal into the grid of that guy there, which is the IF amplifier, a 10.7 megahertz signal, that's the IF frequency, and they tell us to measure the voltage across that discriminator capacitor, which has a few access points on the bottom. We'll be able to find it. Now, that is all fine and good, because if you've got a very untuned set of transformers, you need to start from there, clear that pathway and let it go through, and then go back one step further to there, clear that pathway and go through, and then go back one step further to this guy here, clear its pathway, in other words, its coils, and let the signal go through. However, because we know that we're getting a signal coming through anyway, I'm going to start off by feeding the signal into here. Now, the best way to do that is what they call lightly coupling. And lightly coupling is you literally take the signal, it's a 10.7 megahertz signal. The amplitude, you sort of have to see how much you need to get about, say, 2 volts on the across that discriminator cap with a DC voltmeter. And you feed it, you wrap some wire around here without touching the sides, because the sides are ground. You wrap some wire around here, feed the signal into that, and you are inducing that signal, coupling that signal into the coil, into the tube itself, where the mixing is happening on the FM circuit. What I normally do with tubes like this is I've got a tube cover, a shield. I've wrapped it in paper or tape, put a few coils of wire around it, which is touching the shield, and then I just fit it over there. And I've got a perfect coupling device to feed the signal into here, between here and ground. Signal's going in there. I measure the voltage across that discriminator cap and see what I get, and then I can adjust it. This thing stays fairly firm. Remember, you're measuring a fairly sort of relative signal, so that if you move this around, the amplitude will change. So when you do make the adjustment, you make sure this thing is stationary. It can move between tests, but as long as when you're doing the adjustment, you are not affecting the amount of signal that's being fed in there. You leave it fairly stationary, and this system works very well because it doesn't really move that much. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set that up and see if we can't improve this a bit. I do know that the coils that I need to adjust for the FM are that one and the one below, that one and the one below, and then there are 2 more over here which I need to quickly check to see which ones they are, and I will tell you because we've basically got 3 IF transformers along here. Now, one of these is the discriminator transformer. That one is not peaked to a maximum on that across that capacitor. This one is actually the one that does the balancing between the 2 diodes inside this tube. And the best way to do that for me is to actually send an FM modulated signal into here. In other words, on top of that 10.7 megahertz, you feed in an audio signal. You've modulated with, say, a 1 kilohertz signal. And then when it goes through all that, you take that signal from the speaker, and you should see or hear a 1 kilohertz signal, right? I put that on the scope and I adjust that discriminator transformer, and I'm not sure whether it's the top one or the bottom one. I'll just have to check. I adjust that till I get the least distortion on the sine wave, which is really what that thing is doing. It's balancing the 2 diodes that are doing the ratio detection. So I prefer to put it on a scope, and you can see it, and you can make some adjustments to get the best sine wave possible out. There are other ways you can, there's a way of balancing it with 2 resistors and all sorts of things. You can actually feed an AM modulated signal on there and adjust that till you get the minimum audio, because that thing is supposed to do AM rejection. And when it's optimally tuned, it is the best AM rejection possible. So there are many ways. The one I prefer is the one with the scope, or at least that's the one I'm going to use now. So let me get started and let's see what we get. According to the instructions and the schematic, the one place where you can get hold of that capacitor is actually here. It's at pin 3 of the transformer assembly, and it's that guy there which has a resistor coming out, which is quite handy to connect the DC voltmeter to. The negative of the voltmeter is just connected to ground, to the chassis. So that's the voltage we're going to be measuring. We expect a negative DC voltage, which increases more negative as the alignment improves. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is why I don't want to remove that casing. To remove that casing, you need to remove these two nuts over here. There's one there, which I can get to, but the other guy is in the bottom of that. I can hardly see it. I know it's there. And to remove that, I'll have to remove all these components from here. And I got to tell you, I really don't want to do that. So I'm hoping that this thing is fine without me having to remove that whole thing. If I have to, I have to. But if I don't, I certainly would appreciate not having to go through that. Right. The other thing is we need to adjust, what will it be? That guy there, that's the one lug of the transformer. That's the discriminator one. So that's the one we do last to get the best sine wave. So I'll be doing the one on the top of that first, and then there's the other two over here. Where is it? Yep, that guy over there. You can just see it. And then there are two more on the actual FM case. And as usual, it's one of those that has a lug underneath and a lug on top. The underside one is that one over there, which I think I can get to, sort of. It'll be a bit of a sideways effort, but we should be able to get to it. And the other one is on the top end, in line with that one. So that should be easy. All right, let me get this thing started. I'll adjust the signal generator amplitude as we need. So I'm going to start with that one over there and see what we get. Ha, ha. See what I mean? Somebody's been here. Good. I'll reduce the amplitude on the signal generator again. Just keep going. There's my peak. There's my peak. That was quite a difference. Okay, let me try this one now. Got to get through the wax. I think I'm still on wax. Yep. Try something else. Let's try this one. There's a lot of wax on this guy. I'm going to try it with this first. This is a metal one, so it doesn't count, but I just want to break through the wax slowly, carefully. Okay, now we'll use the normal tool. It's about there. Yeah, that's peaked. That wasn't much. Not much at all. Now, I've got to do this guy over here. This is the one they tell us is also to be adjusted. Not sure I'm getting it. Get a bit of the wax out first. You can normally feel when the screwdriver catches the notch. Yeah, wrong way. That's peaked. See, as I move away, I'm actually affecting the coupling, but it's important that when you're doing that, you're standing absolutely still. So I'll do the underside now. And the first underside one I'm going to do is that guy there, which is a challenge to get through. Maybe I can get through the switches here. Yeah, not really. Has to be sort of sideways. That's it. I'm affecting the coupling here. Not good. Stand still. Okay, that's where I'm standing still. And it's peaked. Yeah, it's peaked. I'm moving away now. That's why it makes that difference. Right, that's one done. Now the other one is, make sure I get the right one. It's the second guy. Let's see, it's that guy over there. Let's see if this one can go in there. Oh, nice. I'm going to reduce the amplitude again on the signal generator. Let's try again. That's a peak. Thereabouts. I'm going to redo everything off camera a second time just to make sure. And now we have to put a signal in and see what we get on the scope, because the last one, that one there, I need to adjust for the best sine wave. Now if I'm right, this is the correct lug, and I'm going to put the volume up. I've got it on dummy load so I don't have to listen to it. And we're seeing a very, very good sine wave. So that part seems to have been unchanged, but I'll try it anyway. See if I can get in there. It's just really peaking. And then of course it goes haywire. It was pretty much there. And you can see it. It's a perfect sine wave. Perfect. Nothing more to change on there. So it looks like we've aligned the FM. Now all we need to do is test it and see if we can pick up those stations in the middle a little bit better. I don't expect them to be perfect. They never are. But just a little bit better. Okay. All things equal. Everything's set up the same way. Give it some volume. Yeah.
Chancel Chili con Carne é uma obra complexa, muitas vezes sem palavras. Aqui elas existem e vão ser lidas por Ana Água e Carmo Lajinha, tal como escutamos agora.
Era verão nos anos 70.
Okay, that certainly made a difference. Right, that one there that we were listening to is the one we got very well on the last test anyway. Those two as well. But in the meantime, the ones in between now are becoming more audible. So that has made an improvement. And this is not unusual. This is how I get them sometimes. At night it picks up a little bit better. But that's certainly improved those stations in the middle there. And as I said, I want to reach this a bit further so I can get that one on 101.6, which is just over the top of the dial. And we can do that by adjusting the oscillator coil when I do the RF alignment. But yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. I'm glad that's worked. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to clean up the dial glass, clean up the knobs. I haven't actually done it on this yet. There was so much dust on here. I got so happy when I cleaned that I sort of stopped. I need to do some cleaning. I need to put the dial glass back on, and then I'll come back to you with the RF alignment for the AM bands, and then also for the FM band, because as I said, I want to stretch that band. I've done it before. You've probably seen it, but I'll give you a short description on what it is exactly I'm doing. All right, I think that's going to be it for now. Keep it short and sort of short and sweet. So I want to thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so on Patreon. So thanks for watching. Bye for now, and stay safe. Oh, and by the way, I am the proud owner of one swollen arm. I've had my first dose of the vaccine. The next one is in a month's time when I get back from holiday. But I'm feeling sort of safer now. Again, bye for now.